They thought it would be another routine debate, another State of the Nation address, another night of speeches, applause, and political theater. But within minutes, the temperature inside Parliament shifted, and one voice cut through the chamber like a blade. Before we get into what happened next, make sure you subscribe right now. Because on this channel, we don't just report the news, we break down the power behind it. This was not just a speech. This was a confrontation. During the State of the Nation debate in South Africa's parliament, economic freedom fighters leader Julius Malema stood up, and he did not hold back. His target? President Cyril Ramaphosa. And what followed was not a mild disagreement. It was a direct accusation that the country is being slowly handed away. Malema accused the government of auctioning off strategic national assets, ports, railways, energy infrastructure, assets many citizens believe are the backbone of the nation's economic independence. He questioned whether South Africa is being strengthened or quietly privatized, and the chamber reacted. But he didn't stop there. He shifted to crime, one of the most emotional issues in the country. He argued that crime remains out of control, that communities are living in fear, and that if the situation continues, the army may need to be deployed as a last resort. That statement alone changed the mood in the room, because calling for military involvement inside a democracy is not small talk. It is political escalation. Then came the moment that reignited an old fire, the Phala Phala issue. Malema made it clear, in his words, this matter is not dead. It is not buried, and it will not disappear. The implication was powerful. Accountability is still on the table, and the president sat there, listening. Now pause for a second. Was this accountability in action? Or was this strategic political pressure ahead of future elections? Because in politics, timing is never accidental. What you are about to watch is not just a speech. It is a clash of narratives. On one side, a sitting president defending his leadership. On the other, an opposition leader amplifying public frustration. The tension in Parliament was visible. Interruptions, reactions, body language. This was not calm policy discussion. This was power in real time. And this is where it gets even more interesting. Because beyond the headlines, moments like this shape public perception. They influence investor confidence. They energize supporters. They polarize critics. Words spoken inside that chamber rippled outward. Here is what we are going to do. I am about to show you the real footage, unfiltered, so you can judge for yourself. Watch the tone. Watch the reactions. Watch the president's composure. And then ask yourself one question. Is this a government under pressure or a democracy at work? If you value clear, powerful political breakdowns like this, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Because we are only getting started. Now watch this.
The 70th anniversary since the Women 1956 March to the Union Buildings, in which we deservedly recognized and invited the joint sitting of our Parliament to applaud his Thala and Siampara, our members of the brain and head generation during the State of the Nation address. Our country and the people are indeed blessed with many heroes and heroines. These are men and women who chose to dedicate their lives to the service of the people. This generation was prepared to sacrifice everything, including their lives, if this was necessary for the liberation of their country and its people. Although as extraordinary as our heroes and heroines are and have been, they are and are human beings produced by the same society that produced all of us. We must continue to pay tribute to them, recognizing the fact that while in every respect they are ordinary human beings who have nevertheless shown themselves to be capable of doing extraordinary things. In this context, I must also salute and pay tribute to the 1976 generation whose heroic deeds has made it possible for our country to celebrate the highest matric pass rate in the year 2025. All of these are our heroes and heroines whose sacrifice and enduring commitment to the liberation of our people must forever be honored and celebrated. Madam Speaker, I'm of the view that in paying tribute to the outstanding work done by this generation, I would like to make reference and quote a poem by H.D. Carberry, whose poem reads as follows. There shall come a time when these children in the rags who litter the streets, who know the crushing mastery of poverty and the cases of debt and slovenliness, shall walk with heads erect, proud owners of their new world, masters of themselves, admitting no inequality, feeling no inferiority and only a great humanity and wonder. For the destiny shall be theirs. Together we must make it happen. And
we warned you 8 years ago that the Oppenheimers and the Ruperts will neutralize you, and your legacy will be that you auctioned our country and its strategic asset to the highest bidder. You did not heed our warning. You have auctioned our sovereignty to asset management companies such as BlackRock, which is why you have praised for the growth of the JSE. You auctioned our country by selling our ports, our railway, our energy generation capacity to the private sector. And now you want to do the same with water. You do not take responsibility for creating jobs. You do not take responsibility for fighting crime. You do not take responsibility for infrastructure development. And you do not take responsibility for growing our economy. There is no sign of any infrastructure of a bullet train, that there are no design plans of a smart city, and there is not even a curriculum for an institution of higher learning in Ikuruleni, as you have promised. You asked us to send you to Mamina, and we made a mistake, we send you. And as your term of office come to an end, you have nothing to show for it. Under your term, crime is out of control, and your deployment of the army is the last resort. You are admitting that you have failed to fight crime. The people of Gauteng have been terrorized for too long by the so-called Zamazamas, and on the deployment of the army, we have no choice but to support you because you have destroyed law enforcement capacity. Our concern is that how do you deploy a military which have been crippled by austerity measures to fight crime? Because we know that our military is understrained and under-resourced and has been humiliated in war zones abroad. And how do you intend to ensure they can fight crime domestically? Additionally, we have warned you before that the army is combat trained and is not trained to enforce laws on civilians. The scale of crime in our country cannot be dealt with by the army alone, because crime is a national crisis and a social crisis. If you do not resolve the challenges of unemployment, the challenge of alcohol and substance abuse, and the high dropout rates of the youth from schools, then crime will be a permanent feature in our society. Crime in South Africa is organized through drug syndicate, protection fee rings, sex trafficking rings, and gangs. It has infiltrated all forms of government, and putting guns in the streets alone will not resolve this crisis. Mr. President, the rot in our criminal justice system begins with your political party, which has factionalized law enforcement and intelligence on the basis of who emerges in your conferences. The biggest syndicate is the political party you are leading, Mr. President. Mr. President, subjectively, this government has done nothing to grow this economy or to strengthen our currency. Africa. When you assumed office, you claimed it will be a transparent presidency, then proceeded to seal CR17 documents of your own funding for your own presidential campaign. And then also your political party majority in parliament to block the investigation on Phala Phala. Where is the transparency you are talking about? You said you are going to be an honest man who's going to be an open book, that your door will remain open. And today, your door remain closed. You even put butler doors to make sure no one accesses you and the documents that are attributed to corruption. Let me reassure you, Mr. President, as long as the EFF is still alive and in this parliament, Phala Phala will never die. Thank you.